Yeah. Well, I think we can start in about 1 minute. Yeah, we've got quite a few people joining now, so that's nice. Thank you guys again for coming. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Start in about a minute. We got like quite a few CS students, quite a few, and we got a business student, engineering student. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, I think we can start. So once again, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you guys so much for coming for our talk, Bukit Vista and GDSC. We're really excited to bring you this talk. So let me go straight into the agenda, what we'll be talking about today. So first, just a quick introduction before we get into our two tech talks. After that, we'll be just having a brief mention about what working with Bukit Vista will be like by their PR team. And after that, we will have a Q&A session and a lucky draw session for participants before closing the event. We'll also be having a huddle session near the end, just an informal Q&A session. Yeah, so let me talk about our speakers. So our first speaker will be Nadia, who will be speaking about UI UX design. She's a UI UX designer for Bukit Vista. After that, we'll be having a talk by Chris, a backend developer, who will be talking about developing a backend service API versus backend as a service like Firebase. I know yesterday on our Instagram, we changed the topic due to miscommunication. Our apology. But if you have any Firebase or if you have any backend questions, yeah, feel free to ask Chris during the Q&A session later on. Right, and then lastly, we'll have talk by the Bukit Vista PR team, talking about opportunities to work at Bukit Vista as well as the work experience there. Yeah, and of course, we'll give you guys like about a few seconds to scan the QR code to join our Slido, or you can go to slido.com and type the link. The link will also be sent in the chat. So if you guys have any questions throughout the talk, feel free to just send them in, and then they'll be answered near the end. So we'll have a QR. We'll have the links for Slido, and then also the lucky draw. At the end of this talk, we'll be generating winners. So yeah, please scan the QR code or click the link in the chat to register yourself for the lucky draw. Thank you. So I will pass it to Biela, who will be sharing her screen for the talk. Let's get right into it. Thank you guys so much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Aiden. Oh, actually, I'm going to share my screen right now. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, nice, thank you. So hi everyone, I'm Bila as a public relation in Bukit Vista. So today we're having a tech talk with Bukit Vista X GDSC MUM, and we'll be having Kak Nadia as a UI UX designer at Bukit Vista, as well as Kak Chris, our backend developer here at Bukit Vista. So we've been doing this tech talk around a lot of club actually and a lot of university before, and now we are going with GDSC MUM. And what are we doing actually here? Coming to a lot of club to do a lot of talk show. Actually, because first we want to inspire. We want to inspire our talent, young talent, to innovate using technical skills to solve real world problems, and then to inspire speakers to share their most authentic moment with the next generation. In this case is our own employee here, which is Kak Nadia and Kak Chris, as well as to inspire students to intern at Bukit Vista. Besides that, we would also like to delight the students. We want to invite the industry expert at the leading companies, and then doing live Q&A as an audience. You can engage live during the event, ask questions, and upvote the topics through the Slido link that was sent by the GDSC team before, and maybe will be sent again after this through the chat, so you can go and ask there. And then our moderator and host will stir up the interactive discussion later on the Q&A session, as well as to join us for post-meeting huddle, with the host and also speaker. So it's not a mandatory. You can leave, but you can also stay, and we and our other all the other speaker will stay if you still have more questions regarding Bukit Vista as well as the topic that we are covering today. So this is the agenda for today. A little bit introduction that I've been done for 5 minutes, and then there will be Tech Talk 1, which is UI UX designer, U101 with Kak Nadia for 30 minutes, and then there will be Tech Talk 2 with Kak Chris, talking about developing backend API versus using backend as a service like Firebase for 30 minutes, and then about interning at Bukit Vista session later at the end of the talk show, yeah, for 10 minutes. So without further ado, we're going to inspire delight through the hospitality innovation that positively transform guests and partner as well as employee. And for now, we're going to inspire you through our amazing speakers. So first, we're going to tell you about Bukit Vista a little bit. Yeah, Bukit Vista is actually a startup management property. We have around 180 property across Bali, Nusa Penida, as well as Yogyakarta. And we have developed a hospitality industry here in Indonesia through our technology as well as our service for the property as well as for the guests all throughout Indonesia as well as throughout the world, as well as throughout the world. So yeah, here's the first. I'm going to give time to our first speaker, to Kak Nadia. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you everyone. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, sure, perfect. Thank you for that. So yeah, hi everyone. Good afternoon from Yogyakarta, Indonesia. So yeah, my name is Nadia. What do I do in Bukit Vista? I'm a UI UX designer and also the vice chapter lead for the product development team in Bukit Vista. So where I studied in Escola Superior di Design in Universitat Ramon Llull in Barcelona, Spain. And where I used to work freelance actually for individuals and also companies. And fun fact about me, I love traveling. So yeah, next slide. Okay, so yeah, today with me I'm gonna do some sharing insights about the UI UX design. Okay, next slide. So yeah, again, I'm Nadia. I'm a user interface and user experience designer, driven by empathy and passion to understand the user's feeling and behavior. I love to inspire light and also solving problems to create better digital experience. Yeah, that's me. Okay, next. So yeah, I hope you guys ready for today's session. Next. So yeah, let's just get through it then about UX and UI. So yeah, I'd like to share some insight with you guys about what is actually the real differences are between UX and UI design. Because these two roles are often confused because they sound very similar, but there are actually huge differences. So yeah, first, it's very important to define these two terms. UX or user experience designs is about designing the whole experience, right? So the experience is how a person or the user feels about interacting with or experiencing a product or a service. It could be like a physical product. So for example, like video game controller or a bag of potato chips, or like in technology product, like an app or a website or smart watch, for example. And there are many things that can make up a good user experience. So yeah, too long didn't read. It's about how a person, the user, feels about interacting with or experience a product, and about UI or the user interface. So yeah, UI design or user interface design is about the aesthetic or part of the experience. And the UI design is about designing the aesthetic experience of digital interface, specifically like visual touch points like buttons, navigation menus, icon, and also typography. And the focus of UI is actually around the look and feel of the interface and whether the users have smooth and pleasant experience, both in use and also the visual experience. So yeah, next. Okay, so yeah, perhaps to give a tangible example about, let's say about the mobile app that you guys use every day. So the UX designer has helped decide what features, what things would be in the product and how they work and how you feel when you're using them. And the UI designer would have also taken part in designing the mobile app, but they would have thinking about how things look as you're using them, how much space there is in between things, and how you laid out the information in each screen and where to put things so that it can be easy for the users to click on. Next. Okay, so yeah, it probably still sounds a little bit complicated, but both UX and UI is like designers are actually basically designing what the users are using. Okay, so let's try to break this down a little bit to make it clearer about the UX and UI, right? So basically the user experience involve like many things, like where you add, what your motivations are, the moment you're doing something, or what happened when you do something, and what is also the reaction. So it covers like the usable part, the enjoyable, like credible, useful, something like that. And also the UI is, if you take a look at the word UI, is actually an interface about a particular thing that you make one or more interaction with. So it could be about the visual design, the interaction design, the design system using the atomic design, or the look and feel. So yeah, there's actually a real difference between the user experience and the user interface. Okay, next. Okay, so yeah, to begin with, I would like to discuss about the usable. So user experience is about improving the usability or making something easier and to use, right? So this means that the design structure or the purpose of the product are clear for everyone. So I give an example of the ketchup. I think if like everyone interested in UI UX, so I think you probably see this example a lot. So let's think about the ketchup bottles, right? So historically, ketchup come in like a glass of bottle, and the user had to like hit the bottom of the glass to make the ketchup come out. Oftenly, no ketchup would come out or too much ketchup would come out of the bottle. But nowadays, the ketchup bottle has been redesigned into like a plastic squeezable button, which makes it easier for user to use and also allows the user to have control on how much ketchup to come in and also come out. Okay, next. Okay, now about the equitable. So the UX designers need also to think about every person who use the product. And this might include like, for example, like the non-native English speakers with disabilities or people with very different life experience from your own. So for example, one user might find an app with lots of text, easy to use, but on the other hand, a user with visual like impairment might want to have different features like sound, for example. So considering the unique needs of many different people is very important work. And thinking about equitable design is a key because like being equitable means your designs are useful and marketable to people with diverse abilities. Okay, let's talk about enjoyable then. Like any background user experience is also about making things enjoyable, right? And this creates a positive connection between the users and the product. So for example, the UX designers will foster that positive connection by taking a user thoughts and feeling into account when making a product. So okay, take into account, I think Aiden previously talked about ordering a food on Grab Food, if I'm not mistaken, right? So let's discuss about that. So when you search like on Grab or Gojek, and you can see lots of dishes, right, or fruits, and you can see, read the reviews from other people who have eaten the food. So yeah, this kind of experience is enjoyable because you can make a more informed choice about what to order and leaving you feeling happier about the product. So yeah, so how do we figure what makes a user happy? That's come where the research to know how the users feel. So yeah, next is about the usefulness. So yeah, because as humans, we want to make like a product useful, right? Meaning they solve our problem. So for example, if you order something, no, let's not order food online. Okay, for example, you would like to order transportation, online transportation, and the app can tell you how to get home with many options like bike or car or yeah, any other options, right? So which means it's actually very useful, but the app can't even find your current location. It's not so useful anymore. So yeah, we know now what it means to have a good experience. So yeah, and regarding the user interface, it's about the interaction design, visual, look and feel, and about the atomic design. Okay, next. Okay, so yeah, so before we get into deep about the process of the UX, right? So let's explore more on the job scope. So I would like to give a tangible like example. So I hope everyone is aware about the product here. So if you have used Airbnb as a, let's say, a vacation rental service before, you probably will be able to picture what exactly I'm talking about. So okay, for example, if Airbnb was just getting started today and they wanted to hire people, they would want to hire UX designer, right? And in this case, the UX designer is to help understand new way of people finding home, experience, and also they would hire the UI designer. Right? And the UI designer main task here, let's say to visually represent those new ways of finding homes. And yeah, so that it could be easy for people to use. So the difference between the UX and the UI designers that might work at PIB is, you can imagine, they actually work closely together. But UX designers are understanding the people's behavior, understanding the travelers' needs, and also coming up with concept or like new ways of addressing those needs, and also giving them new ways to make their traveling experience easier. So yeah, they're designing the experience of finding like home, like vacation home with Airbnb. And the UI designers are still taking all of that information. Next slide, please. Okay, so yeah, so this is where like there's some overlap, but they're actually purely focused on the visual representation of those features, those new tools, those new ideas, basically. So yeah, to laying them out visually, and yeah, so people actually can see how the UI designers work. So as you can see in the images there, the UX and UI designers often work in the same projects and also often at the same time. But their responsible is actually very different. So okay, the UX designers responsible for like the overall experience, understanding the users, contribute solution that improve the user experience, and yeah, basically improving the experience of the users. And also the UI designers is about visually representing those concepts and ideas. So the place where we see the works of the UX designer and the UI designers is really overlapping, is where there's connection between the conceptual and also the visual. Yeah, so actually a UI designer sometimes, like in some jobs or like some companies, you might do a bit of conceptual wireframing before they get into the like concrete visual work. right? And also the UX designer is some jobs in some company might be given the task of taking their concepts and their wireframes and mock up into more a finished visual. Next slide. Okay, so yeah, so this is why there's actually a confusion with the jobs. Sometimes it's called the UX/UI designer, right? Because some companies want you to do bits of both worlds. So you can actually to clearly understand the difference so that you can choose the profession and the career direction that's right for you. And also it's very important to understand that there are very different responsibility within these two roles. So yeah, you might do bits of both, but you can decide which one fits you best and also what kind of career path that you will be happier on, basically. So yeah, next slide. Okay, so now let's talk about the process then. The process of UX or the user experience and the process of the UI, right? So as you can see in the image there, like UX design is actually the merger of the user needs, business visions, and also the technological feasibility. And the result of the UX design is usually like a set of low resolution wireframes or like a basic visual guide for how a product will function, basically. And for the user interface, the process is about the design, also testing. So yeah, it's a repetitive actions. Next. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about in depth about the UX process, right? So basically, if you talk about, I'm sure like everyone here already aware some of the methodologies that been very used, like design thinking, lean UX or agile. The focus is actually about three main things: about discovery, ideation, and validation. So about discovery is actually about why. You're basically asking about why. And during this part or the discovery, you will validate your problem and identify your users and to determine the project goals. So what kind of methodology that you will do during the discovery part is the user research. It can be user research and competitive analysis and also many more like method that you can do during the discovery. But what is actually the expected outcomes during the discovery is actually the problem validation. So you know the problem that you're trying to solve. And also you know what kind of users you are designing for. So it's very important to have the user persona in the very beginning. Next. Oh, okay. So this is just pictures. Like when I used to do like research, I like before COVID, I used to do like research by meeting people and talk about their problems and also finding insight. Okay, next. Okay, now about ideation. So what is actually ideation? A very crucial phase. So the ideation phase represents what do you call like a key transition from learning about your users and the problem to coming up with a solution. So if the ideation process carried out properly, the ideation session is where the innovation thrives. So it should help you stumble upon like the groundbreaking solution that your users might have been missing. And what kind of methodology that you can do during the ideation process is like brainstorming, information architects, to or like the journey mapping, sorry. Yeah, or the crazy eights, for example, that can be also the methodology that you can use during the editing process. And what is actually the expected outcome is about the solution exploration. Okay, next. Okay, so yeah, this is just a real life example that I used to have stickers or many post-its on my walls previously. Yeah, it's actually a post-it actually very the friend of UX designer. Next. Okay, regarding the validation. So validation is when we finally know what we're building. So during this validation phase, the designers will create like like design solution using wireframes or prototype and test them with users during the process. We will call it like usability testing to evaluate how an actual users will react to the product. So yeah, the methodology is like about usability testing, and the expected outcomes is like solution scalability or like low risk wireframes. Okay, next. So yeah, that's probably an example on like how I do user testing and also usability testing with the users. Okay, next. Okay, now after we talk about the UX process, now here where we talk about the UI process, right? So the UI or the user interface process has like key phases, like design and also testing. So the UI design like precedes the development of the product's functional element. So this actually the creation of the finished interface. It's focused on the like visual and emotional feel of the product, right? And also usually the UI designer will establish the layout, the color, the typography, the interactivity to visually communicate the flow of the screen. Yeah, and yeah, also the UI designers will also do competitive research and like what is the current trends for the latest design, and also they would do like brand identity. So basically it like sort out the brand imagery that goes along with them, like the element like color palette, typography, imaginary like iconography patterns and more. So it's what we call look and feel. Okay, so I would like to next slide, please. Okay, so here's about the look and feel. So what is important for the UI designer? So the look and feel here, as you can see, laid out some elements or components that need to think through or research before you develop something or before you design something. Okay, the first thing is about the color. The color that you're going to use for the products is the color actually like part of your company branding and something like that. And also about the typography, what kind of typography that you're going to use on the application, for example, that actually represent the company or the brand or the app itself. And also it's very important to know the shape, because yeah, the shape psychologically speaking actually represents a lot of thing, like rectangle, like circle, for example, they actually represents different types of feel, right? And also the composition. The composition actually very important as well. For example, like probably like in Indonesia, Malaysia, or Singapore, right? We will read something from right, left to right, right? But it will be different when you design for company that is like, let's say in Arab or something like that, right? They would read something from right to left. So it's actually very important to decide the composition as well. And also photography and illustration is very important to establish. Are you going to focus on using photography, or are you going to focus more on illustration, or is the apps going to combine both of photography and also illustration? So it's very important to establish this kind of element as well. And the next one is regarding the iconography, right? Yeah, what types of icon that you would like to portray in the app and how it would be represent the company or the brand itself. And also the movement. And yeah, the voice and tone and also the micro copies is also very important. I'm not really sure, like for example, like the way Gojek put out their voice and tone or micro copies is very different on how, like, let's say, as a Grab or Uber do their voice and tone. So it's actually very important to establish. And this is where actually the UI designer works together with the UX writing or UX writer, for example. Okay, next. Okay, so yeah, this actually like an example how the UX designer will collaborate with the UI designer. Right? Okay, next. Okay, so this probably my last sharing session for today. So far we have learned about the common responsibilities about the UX and UI designers and the type of roles that UX or UI designers might have had. But like many people, like UI UX designers don't work alone, right? They work on the cross-functional teams that might include other like designers, engineers, researchers, product leads, or project managers, or product owner. So yeah, I would like to share a little bit more about how these cross-functional teams work together to build the product. So yeah, imagine you working for, like say an Airbnb, right? For a vacational rental homes services. So you and your team want to build new feature that shows a user's home that offer, let's say, beachfront views, right? So in this case, we will have the product lead, or in some company would call like project manager or the product owner. They will decide the project scope. They will also decide about the milestone to reach on certain time, about like deadline and something like that. And also the UX designer. Okay, in some company, UX designer will also be divided further, like the UX researcher, the UX writer, like the interaction designers and something like that. But basically in the UX designer scope, they will do researching. They will try to understand the user's feeling and also the user needs. And they will try to figure out the flow, like for example, on how to do searching or booking, right? So yeah, and also the UI designer. So the UI designer, or we could say like the visual designer, they will think about how to make it easy for the user, let's say, to see the list of homes of like rentals, for example. So yeah, they will visually design the appearance with wireframes and product. Nah, so engineers. So yeah, engineers, or like the back end or the front end developer, they will bring these wireframes and product to life. And also they will create ways, for example, like the home owners to add informations about their property and something like that. So as you guys might have noticed, that it's actually very important for UI UX designers to collaborate with engineers, because engineers in the end will build the product, right? Or will build the final product. So these kind of collaborations happen throughout the entire process. And there are like multiple opportunities actually for the designers and engineers to provide feedback to each other. That's why we're being lean and we're being agile to make change together, right? And also there are a lot of moving parts here actually, where, for example, like yeah, maybe there's some kind of misunderstanding from the designers and also the developers or the engineers. So this is where the what do you call, like project managers or product owner comes in to ensure clear and also timely the team. So for example, the process of building the app move smoothly from start to finish. Yeah, and also as we can see, like every team and also the team member, like UX designer, UI designer, engineers, they all have different tasks, right? But ultimately, they all have the same goal, which is to build a product that is useful, equitable, enjoyable for the users and also for the business itself. So yeah, that's it actually from my side. So yeah, I hope it's very useful for everyone. So thank you, and I would like to pass to Bila or to Chris as the next speaker.
Okay, thank you, Nadia, for the material about UI and UX designs. It's really insightful, actually. And let's move on to the next topic then. So first of all, a brief introduction of myself. My name is Chris. I'm a backend developer here in Bukit Vista. I studied in Widya Dharma University in Pontianak, West Borneo, Indonesia. And I previously worked at Orange Multimedia, a local small software house company in my hometown, Pontianak, that actually working to build softwares for local government needs, especially on finance one. And fun fact about me, I eat a lot of chickens. Okay, next slide. So today, basically, we are going to answer these questions. Should I develop my own backend service? Or should I use Firebase as my backend as a service? And along the way, we will learn more about what is backend service, what is backend as a service, and what's the difference between both of them. Okay, next slide. So first of all, what is backend? It's pretty basic. So to be able to understand what is backend, I think it's much easier to have the concrete visualization of how an app actually works. So in an application, basically we have two components, right? The first one is the front end, and the second one is the back end. And between them, there's one small component which is called API. API usually ship with the backend itself. So first, what is front end? Front end basically everything that you see on your screen when you use your application. It is what UI UX designer had designed and bring life by the front end developers. So actually, everything that user sees, the search bar, the text, the photos, and so on and so forth. And then there's a backend, which is things that user not really seeing at the application, which just contains the logic of the application, what happens if you click certain buttons, or how you get the notifications, and so on and so forth. So this is the things that users don't really see, but actually a lot of efforts is doing on the backend side. And there is to be able to connect between front end and back end, you need what is called the API, or application programming interfaces. This is basically the easiest ways to look at API is just a gateway. So front end will send a request to an API, and then basically front end will ask you this: hello API, I need to go to www.google.com, for example, and then the API will, okay, I will deliver a message to the exact routes that the backend have declared, and then the backend will process and give you the return response that the front end need to display the data. To be more visual, let's move on to the next slide so I can explain you better. So here we have the front end, the Google search. You can see the Google logo, you can see the search bar. And for example, like we want to search about backend. So we type in the search bar backend. And this is what I mentioned before. This is the front end, 20% of the effort and what the user sees. But once you click the search bar, next slide, there's total chaos things happening at the back end, right? We don't know what's actually happening in the Google search, and it's just void of emptiness, which is like, what's happening in the background? So basically, when we click the search button, Google will ask an API, which is an address, which is www.google.com/search, and then like a question mark, and it's actually our keyword backend. So we will ask the API to deliver this message to the backend, to the logic of the application itself. Next slide. Here, actually, what's the void is, or the backend is, the logic is. So in short, after we get the keywords, Google algorithm at the backend will do several things. First of all, crawling web pages, analyze the page content, store in the index, and then ranking the algorithm, and then send back the results to the user, which is us, who have just searched about backend in Google search. And then next slide. Voila, you have the front end already back with the results that you just search. So that's how actually things works for the front end, API, and backend. While backend is actually most of the algorithms or functions or logic that the app needs to achieve certain kind of tasks or goals. Next slide, yeah. Okay, so how we make our own backend services? So I put some memes there. So some logos working, like typing something, and then some memes about my code doesn't work. I have no idea why, but my code works. And I also have no idea why. And it happens a lot to a lot of developers actually. And also about computer programming, about expectations towards what programmers do, and so on and so forth. This is just some memes. But what we actually do, next slide, is we code. We do the coding that is needed to make the service. So we're making APIs, we're making the logical algorithm for each function for the applications, designing database structure, adding user authentications if your application needed authentication functions, set up authentications, and hosting the application on the servers, such as maybe iOS, DigitalOcean, and so on and so forth. And basically, you build your own backend application by coding, and you have the freedom to make everything you want, basically. Next slide. So when we code, of course, we need to do something that we need to decide which tools that we need, right? And there's so many tools and ways to do this. And it just, for example, like programming languages, you have JavaScript, PHP, Go, Python, Java, etc. For the frameworks for each languages, you have Node.js, Express, Next.js for JavaScript, and then Laravel and Connector for PHP. For Go, you have Gin, Ho. For Python, you have Flask and Django. This is especially for web development. Java, you have Spring and Intern. And also for databases, you also have quite a lot of approach for example, like SQL, SQL, so structured query language. You can use MySQL, Postgre, and so on and so forth. Or you can choose a NoSQL, which is a document-like structure for your database structure, or GraphQL, like graphical query language, which developed by Facebook as well. So in this case, you have a lot of tools to do the code, but you really need to point out on why you choose certain kind of language or why certain kind of framework, because the why is more important than actually what you use. We will get back to that later at the end of this session, but keep that in mind first. So there's so many tools that you can use. You just need the creativity to combine things and make things work. Next slide. Okay, so here is the advantages of building your backend service, actually. So if you're able to code, basically you have an application that highly customizable. So it enables you to build any functions that you want, any crazy ideas that you have in your mind, and you can integrate a lot of other tools as well. So for example, you need some machine learning stuff that going on in your application, you can do that. You want to have a efficient tracker technology in your application, you can do that as well because you build your own backend service and it's highly customizable. The second one is highly scalable, actually. So once you already deploy your application, you can adjust the implementation over time. So if your app is not growing enough, then you keep the surface in the low surface first, and then you can increase it along the way if you get more users of your application, for example. And then this is the third one is actually one of the most important one. It's high level of security. So in your application, usually we tend to store a lot of sensitive data. For example, user passwords, and then some financial data, especially on fintech companies. And when security becomes your main concern, this is where your own backend service is stood out the most, because you can guarantee to your user that your application is secure because you own your own service, not other companies or not other entities. That's actually the one of the most important advantages that you can have. And the fourth one is reliability, because you don't put your application on some people's other companies' service, so you can control it the way you want. You want to shut it down, just shut it down. You want to debug it, for example, like have bugs, you just debug it by yourself because that's the application that you write. So it's pretty comfortable to work with that. Okay, next slide. Oh, next slide. I think this being copied as well. My bad. So disadvantages of building your own backend service. Of course, the first one is actually increasing the development time to be able to make a great product at really customizable and really fits your needs. You have to develop something from scratch, and it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort and people to do that. So it's going to takes a lot much longer development time than implementing already a backend as a service solution, which is what we are going to discuss later. The second one, we need to have a solid backend programming skills. We need to have basically to be able to code something crazy and something big or something useful. We need to really know about how to achieve that. That's why we need to consistently learning about the technology that we want to use and how and what are the technology that have the same advantages of it, and basically utilize it at its maximum power as possible. The third one is the high cost of building your own backend. Because of the development actually depends on the development time and the expertise of the people that who work on that. So if you have some big ideas, usually, and you need to custom backend for it, you will hire more expert people, which costs a lot of money. Or if you spend the money to invest your time and your time doing courses, basically you also investing time to build that, and it take longer. It will take your learning time. It will take your basically building time and so on and so forth. So it's really high cost on learning curve, time to developing it, or maybe hiring other people as well. That's a disadvantage of building your own backend service. Next slide. So we already talked about building your own backend service, right? Now let's take a look about Firebase, which is a backend as a service platform. So Firebase is made by Google. It is basically a backend as a service platform. It provides us a variety of tools and services to develop quality apps, basically grow our reputations, and at the end of the day, hopefully earn us profit. Firebase using NoSQL database program, so which stores your data in JSON-like documents. So the structure of the database is like folders of your files in your computers, basically. Because in the traditional way, in SQL database structure, you will have like tables, like have relational databases which connect to other tables as well. Next slide, please. So to give you in-depth look, actually, what is backend as a service? So backend as a service is more like a cloud service model in which developers outsource all the behind-scene aspects of a web or mobile application so that they only have to write and maintain the front end. So previously, when we building our own application, we building our logic on our own. We make the APIs, we make the logic, we make the authentication functions, we make the push notification functions, we host it by ourselves, and so on and so forth. But using backend as a service, you just need to ask Google, basically, right? In this case, hi Firebase, I want your service. And they will basically take care all of the backend stuff for you. You just need to connect between your front-end application, either web or mobile application, to the Firebase credentials, basically. So if you can see from the illustration below, you can see the steps where basically the front end that we built, and then just a backend as a service, which included servers, databases, security, social login, social authentication, backup of data routine, file storage, cloud code functions, and so on and so forth. After that, you successfully launch your app, actually. So it's pretty simple to utilize. You don't need to spend a lot of time writing your own code. You just need to write the front end stuff, and you're ready to go. Next slide. So let me explain a bit about the traditional way of us doing things for the backend development versus Firebase. So in the traditional way, you have your client apps, just the Google search example that I have brought previously. And then the client apps will make a request through an HTTP API, and it will hit your backend service and do the logic, and also query some database data to fulfill that logic on your backend service. But in Firebase, client apps actually accessing a software development kit or SDK from Firebase, and then Firebase take care of all the logic that you need to be able to return the response back to the client applications. So you don't need to have any backend service. You don't need to have any databases. You just relax and let the Firebase team do the works, basically. Continue to the next slide, please. So how Firebase work as a backend as a service? Firebase provides us with their built-in SDK or software development kit that we can use its key features. Basically, okay, let me explain what SDK first, right? SDK is self-contained toolkits. You can see it as a toolbox that provide developers with code or functions that help them build the application or certain function of the app that they need. In a nutshell, they offer a developer and bare bones that need to get started building a software application. So for example, Firebase actually have one functions. Maybe we go to the next slide first. Let me explain that. This is actually a snippet of a Flutter code from our Beefy Go mobile app. So basically, if you can see on the right side, you can see like in the bottom 3, there's a lot of Firebase messaging, Firebase core, Firebase auth, Firebase analytics. Those are basically the dependencies of Flutter application that we have, the SDKs that we have. And on the right side is actually at the top of it that getting highlighted. There is a Firebase auth instances that we declare, and that's where the SDKs works, right? You call the object of the SDK and do the logic below them. So in this particular case, we want to log in using, if I'm not mistaken, Google sign-in method, which is being provided by the Firebase actually, and we can use it for our advantages as well. Next slide. So here are the Firebase key features. The first one is authentication. Usually, it helps you a lot with building the Google sign-in, or sign in with Google, sign in with Apple, sign in with Twitter, and so on and so forth. It makes the development easier that way. So you don't need to build your own dedicated function or backend service to do that, because it's secure already using Firebase. The second one is real-time databases or Firestore. So data is synced across all the clients in real time. There's no delay and so on and so forth. So when the data on an app gets updated, it's get updated as well across the servers of the database as well and other client app as well. Hosting, as I said before, you don't need to worried about how the application are going to be alive because they already they host it for you already. So no worries about that part. Test lab, the application is tested on virtual and physical devices located in Google's data centers. So actually they have some features that actually could test your application before you launch it somewhere. Next one is notifications. Notification can be sent with Firebase with no additional coding. So like when you get some notification from Grab Food, for example, like there's some delicious food, do you want to try that? We don't need to code any of them. We just have to set it to enable the notification and set things up. So it's pretty convenient. The last one is analytics. So Firebase actually have somehow like Google Analytics. So it will track the amount of users that interact with your application and also their behavior for further analysis of your business needs, basically. And for analytics, it's totally free as well. Next slide, please. So now, what's the advantages of using Firebase as your backend as a service? First of all, speed of the development. It's pretty straightforward to set up. Just to connect it once with your front-end application, set the Firebase console, and your apps is ready to go to live. And backend as a service solutions are preferred for minimum viable product development, and when it is crucial to cut the time to the market. So basically, you want to develop your application as fast as possible, so you can test out your business logic and business models, basically. So this is one of the advantages that you have using backend as a service. The development price. If you're logically thinking, because we use already backend as a service, so we don't need to do code basically. So we don't need to add additional people or additional time to learn to code the backend side of things. So it's really going to reduce the development price in terms of time, in terms of cash, and so on and so forth. But in long term, the expenses may be growing as well in certain kind of cases. And it gives you a simple solution, basically. When implementing backend as a service, you don't need to worry about hostings, you don't need to worry about how to set up notification, authentication, and so on and so forth. The toolkit is there for you to be used already. So, voila, that's it. The advantages of the backend as a service. Next slide. Okay. Now the disadvantages of using backend as a service, especially on Firebase. Low flexibility. If your application needs some unique functionality, or you have like crazy ideas and so on and so forth, it's highly possible it won't be handled by this service because it's just too complex for a backend as a service to do that. So it's not really customizable. So if you have some certain kind of needs on your application, at the end of the day, you need to make your own backend service. And then the second one is low scalability and low level of customization. Usually, backend as a service application is being used for short-term solution, and constantly changing technologies and possible applications scaling make customizing the server side to current project needs critical. And this is exactly why backend service solutions cannot offer. And also, in certain kind of cases, you don't have any access to real database as well. So when you want to do migrate something and so on and so forth, migrate your database or so on, it's going to be a bit hectic, to be honest. The third one, low reliability. This is trusting your application to a third party always comes with risk. There's no guarantee that these companies won't vanish soon. So there's a huge chance as well if, for example, like maybe not likely to happen. Just imagine like For example, like Google go bankrupt and Firebase shut down its service. Now, what you are going to do with your application now? It's gone as well, right? So it's not completely wasted in a way. And the last one is security concerns. And if your application is designed to work with confidential data, such as user informations or payment data, don't use backend as a service. They always claim to be a secure solution, but for sensitive data, it's best if we store it by ourselves and handle it by our own service as well. Okay, that's the disadvantages. Moving on to the next slide. So back again with the question, should I develop my own backend service or should I use Firebase as my backend as a service? Next slide. At the end of the day, it depends on what you need, basically. Next slide dulu. Okay, so I make a simple code to basically answer our questions just now. So for example, like define the app that you need, what kind of app that you need. So there I have an array of strings, which is called simple app. And in simple app, we can see like if you, its description is minimum valuable product, simple apps with classic architecture, new or temporary applications is what we describe as simple application. And then for a complex app is apps with specific features or unique logic, apps with a long-term perspective and scalability potential, and also process confidential information. It actually defined as a complex app. So the logic behind it, right? If simple app includes app that you need, then you should use a backend as a service such as Firebase as your solutions. But else if app that you need includes apps with like specific features or basically complex app, then you should build your own backend service. If you don't want to do simple app and complex app, then just, I don't know, I just write it randomly, but let's go to Mars, lol. Basically, that's a formula of answering the, should you make your own backend service or should you just use backend as a service? Hope that helps. Next one. So the next one is actually how we use these tools in BV, how we use all the programming language that we have known, all the services that we have known, and use it on the Bukit Vista environment, basically. Now, next slide. So I give you an example of our mobile app, which is BV Go. So we have two things here. We use our custom backend service, and we use Firebase as well, especially for Firebase authentication. So not only that, we can actually combine both things to achieve what we need, basically. In this context, you can see we use backend service to getting and modifying application data. So if you see the right side, the left side of the picture, is actually a My Property page where you see a list of property with its reviews, with its total bookings, and so on and so forth. This is data that we get from our own backend service. For Bukit Vista backend service, we store it on a SQL databases. We make the API using JavaScript, Node.js, and Express. And yeah, there's totally to be used for getting and modifying application data. But on the other hand, we also use Firebase. In this case, one of its key features, which is authentication. So we use Google and Apple sign-in authentication function from Firebase in our mobile app application. So by enabling it, our mobile application is actually it's easier to code using Firebase authentication rather than making it our own on our own custom backend service. It is pretty much easier. It's more secure, and it decrease a lot of development time as well, because its authentication is actually pretty confusing problem at the first glance if you ever develop one, actually. So yeah, that's one of the implementation. So what's next then? What else that we have in BV? Next slide, please. So we have bigger Bukit Vista integrated observation and report. This is our software management property management software that we have that we built in-house, like using React, React.js for the front end, and actually the same one for the back end, which is Node.js and Express. In here, we're actually maintaining a lot of our properties data, our incoming bookings, and actually company needs to dashboards and data about the business process of our companies. Next slide. Bifigo. So this is exclusive mobile app for our partner. Basically, this is a mobile version of Bigger, where basically the partner could have more smooth and better experience with our products, actually. Next slide. This is bukitvista.com, the face of the company, the things that you will see a lot. And here we're using WordPress, and it represents how what we do as a company and all other sections of it. Next slide. This is Redash, the data visualization platform that we use as well, the tools that we use. So it mainly used for the company needs to have a visualization of data. So the company revenue projections, the property revenues, the bookings, and so on and so forth is being shown here on Redash. Next. And there are so many other tools. We use a lot of tools: Stockit, Airtable, Trello, Parser, Slack, Vocanda, Diploma, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is not the amount of tools or what tools that you use, but actually why you use the tools. What's the problem that you want to solve? So using the right tool to solve the right problem, that's the most important thing. No matter what tools you use, if the tools solve your problem, then it works and you are successful for developing an application. Next one. So here are our tech stacks, actually, just short glance. For front end, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React.js, and Tailwind CSS. For the back end, JavaScript with Node.js and Express, and also a bit of Python and Flask, and also MySQL. For mobile app development, we use Dart and Flutter. For main website, we use PHP and WordPress. Next. So this is just a bit of trivia. Give me 2 more minutes. So as we can see, like in the first example, I give you a example of how Google search works, right? And how complicated it is on the backend side of the application. And it's actually what I adore most of backend programming, especially. Because if you see this history of research from Google, each years, they actually improve their algorithms. So it makes the indexing more efficient. It supports mobile websites and so forth. It's just mesmerizing to see these kind of things happen. And maybe to the next slide first. And this is maybe my closing statement. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. From Arthur C. Clarke, a science fiction writer. I hope my talk is hopefully going to inspire a bit of you and bring some knowledge more about the backend in general, and especially our backend as a service. So last, for you in range 0 and 1000, Brain, thank you. So thank you for 1,000 times. Well, that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Kak Chris, as well as Kak Nadia. It was such a great materials and also topics that you were both covered today. And yeah, as a closing for our company's talk, we're going to talk about the internship here at Bukit Vista. As you might notice, maybe that Kak Nadia as well as Kak Chris used to be an intern also as well in Bukit Vista. Till like right now they become who they are today and how amazing they are. So maybe you want to look for a bit and listen for a bit to the story of our intern and see how we intern in Bukit Vista.
My name is Victoria and I'm the intern here in Bukit Vista.
Hello everyone, my name is Billy and I'm a data scientist intern in Bukit Vista. Vista.
Hi, my name is Erika and I'm one of the customer relations and reservation team at Bukit Vista.
Hi everyone, my name is Jocelyn and I'm a accounting intern here in Bukit Vista.
Hey everyone, I'm Sula and I'm a PR intern at Bukit Vista.
Hi, I'm Nadia and I'm a business development and design at Bukit Vista.
Hi, my name is Rizky and I'm the current UI UX design intern for the product development team here at Bukit Vista.
To take advantage of the remote working opportunity it provides. At that time, I thought that working with individuals from all around the world sounds like a pleasant experience, and I was right. Especially this pandemic, I've gotten to know my colleagues here from Bali, from Jogja, even the Philippines, and also the Russia.
Was because I fell in love with the work culture and atmosphere. Everyone is an innovator and have young entrepreneurial minds, just like myself. BD not only supports us as individuals, but fosters our creativity and our freedom to test and innovate things as much as we like within the workplace, allowing us to constantly innovate and inspiring delight.
It's because I've heard so many great things about interning here from the stories of my classmates, how young people can do like projects and how the environment really supports you to grow as an intern and how you're supposed to use English for your everyday tasks.
It's actually very fun and enjoyable to work in Bukit Vista. Secondly, you get to learn a lot through the projects that were given to you, and you get to explore wider stuff that you don't really touch in school.
It's definitely the remote working situation. As someone personally from Qatar, thousands of miles away from Indonesia, it's great to be able to still contribute to a meaningful way and maximize my potential and productivity from the comfort of my own home.
Even though I'm only an intern, I've never felt insignificant because everyone in this firm, from the executive, the chapter leads, and also the interns, has the equal role and also the opportunity to speak up and also share their thoughts.
The freedom of learning, the freedom of communicating with everyone. In my case, I do a lot of one-on-one meeting with my seniors, even with my CEO with the previous CEO. For the management property page, it is a page for our property partner. From this project, my team gave me a full responsibility starting from the analysis, implementation until the iteration. I do it while collaborating with a lot of awesome people in the company. So I feel so proud and feel so thankful for this project.
Current project that I'm working on is a Facebook scraper where I have to identify the current market demands.
When I make guests happy and I can positively transform them.
Be making a company guideline because it's a big project that I believe is very important for future visitors as well as the company in general, which is why it left a big impression for
me. Tips for intern is never settle to learn more, and also don't be afraid to fail.
You have to enjoy every moment that you have here. Make sure that you make the most of your time and to learn and grow, and also don't forget to have fun while you're at it.
Is that you really should embody the core values of the Vista because I feel like it really helps you develop more as a person and also as an intern.
Please don't be afraid. People in the company will be more than happy to welcome you. They will always be happy to answer your questions. So don't be afraid to show your leadership, your ownership to your project because this responsibility given to you will be a big opportunity for you to always explore your potential. Thank you.
Yeah, so basically those are some words from our interns as well as previous interns that were interning in Bukit Vista. And yes, that is the good news. We are actually open for hiring right now, especially for these positions. For product owner intern, quality assurance intern, front-end developer intern, back-end developer intern, UI UX designer intern, as well as business analyst intern. So yeah, if you want to work with us, with Kak Nadia, as well as Kak Chris together in a team, please feel free to open our website, www.bukitvista.com/jobs, where you will find the requirement as well as how to apply directly there. So yeah, don't hesitate to actually apply to our internship program. We have these 3 months remote internship program. So yeah, it doesn't matter like where you are, that you can actually still work with us together, because we also come from a very different places. A lot of us have never met each other even. So yeah, that's very interesting part of intern and working in Bukit Vista actually. So we highly waiting for you guys, so to be able to work with us, to join us and inspire the light and innovate hospitality here in Bukit Vista. So yeah, open this bukitVista.com/jobs to find out more about the position that we are opening. And then if you're still curious more about us, you can open our LinkedIn account at Bukit Vista Hospitality Service, as well as our Instagram account. We have our Instagram account at journey@tv. Maybe later I can put it down on the comment section so that you guys can check it out. So yeah, basically that's all from us from Bukit Vista. We're going to back to the GDSC team then for the Q&A session. So yeah, thank you everyone.
Hey, thank you so much, guys, for the talk. Thank you so much. It was very informative. I found it very good. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the talk as well. Right, and now you guys can see my screen, right? The Q&A screen. Yeah, okay. So after that talk, we will now it's the Q&A session. We will be answering the questions that were asked throughout the talk in this Slido here. So if you have a question you want to ask now, click the link in chat or scan this QR code. It's the same as just now. And yeah, I think I'll read the questions out. Yeah, and then whoever wants to answer can just answer. I think we'll go from bottom to top. What is the what is the meaning of frameworks for backend? I think this is Chris.
Okay, that's can you guys hear me?
Yeah, can.
Okay, so what is the meaning of frameworks for backend? So I don't know exactly what's the meaning, but this is what I know. Frameworks for backend is basically, for example, let's have an example. I'm pretty familiar with programming language called PHP, and the frameworks usually called Laravel, for example. So when you write a code using pure PHP, it's just you need to declare a lot of stuff by your own. You need to basically pure programming language. But once you have the framework, for example, like Laravel, it ships you with a bunch of codes ready for you to customize, which already includes several features. For example, it ships you with the boilerplate of a page. It ships you with some middlewares. It ships you with the ORM, which is object rational mapping, principles of querying stuff from database. It ships you with migration things, migrations for your database. It ships you with a lot of stuff that you don't need to build from scratch. So basically, frameworks on backend is actually set of files or set of functions that being prepared for you, and you just need to focus on writing logics for applications. So yeah, you can spot where to write the controller, for example. You can basically write where the routes is. So it's already there. You just need to learn how to work with the frameworks and focus on building like the main logic of your application instead of setting up your own router folder, router structure, or controller structure and how it looks and so on and so forth. You can already use the framework for that. Hope it answering your questions for anyone who asks that. Actually, that's all from me.
What would you say is the average salary for a backend or full stack developer?
This is actually questions that I also ask myself actually, because on a lot of continents it's actually pretty different, right?
Okay.
So this is not really things that I can answer right now, to be honest. But if you, we have a lot of advantages here currently for our role because we can do it because we are on demand jobs also, right? And you can basically work here on Southeast Asia and maybe work remotely to some Silicon Valley's top tech companies and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of opportunities for you. So don't cost the opportunity for yourself, and it's actually achievable.
Okay. Someone asked, I'm curious about what do software engineers do and what are the differences between full stack engineer, back-end, front-end, and DevOps engineer?
Okay, so what the software engineers do is basically to code, to basically bring the design that had been prepared by UI UX designer for the front end to especially for the front end one. Basically making the applications to life, right?
Come on. Yeah, you outside, is it? Okay, I asked someone to take for you. Thank you. Wait.
Okay, so
sorry. Yeah.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. So next question, right?
I still haven't answered that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yep. So what software engineers do? Code. Full stack engineer basically covering both front end and back end. For front end, it actually makes the responsibility of the front end developer is actually to make the design that had been made by the UI UX designer to become live, and the back end is to make the functionality or logic for each functions or business process that it needs. For DevOps engineer, I'm still also pretty new with DevOps, so I cannot really answer that one yet for now. That's from myself.
Thank you for that. In your opinion, what is the best way to learn backend development and UI UX design? So this is like directed to both speakers.
Oh, maybe from me first, yeah.
Yeah.
To learn backend development, first I would suggest you to go to YouTube and search tutorials first. Of course, it can be some random tutorials on YouTube, or if you have a bit of budget, you can go to Udemy actually and pick up one courses that have a full explanation of some language, for example, like Node.js, for example, and learn things that you need. Basically, don't learn it all, but things that you need. Because why usually I choose that path? Because you are clueless at the first time, right? You don't know what's the steps to go to understand those things. So it's really crucial to have like a set of order of things that you need to learn first before you be able to basically convert your own ideas and make your own applications. So first of all, learning for tutorials from others how to build application. And the second step is actually use all that knowledge to build your own application and keep doing it, keep repeating it, keep being creative and turn your ideas into actual product. Maybe for showcasing or portfolio, but it's surely going to help a lot. That's my tips actually.
Okay, perhaps from my side for the UI UX, the best way to learn UI UX designs, right? So actually, yeah, first of all is to get to know like the process. What is the process of UI and UX design? And then the most important thing is actually practice. Previously, I used to do like a lot of like practicing or like projects or try to redesign something. So actually I have something very interesting to share with all of you who are interested in UI UX design. Try to search the sustainable development goals on Google, and you can see actually a lot of like lists of issues of the current problems, like no poverty, zero hungers, good health and well-being. So try to choose one of those topics and do the, like for example, the discovery. What is actually the problem that you can try to solve with, for example, the no poverty, the climate action, for example? What actually the thing that you can do? So you can try to do the researching, and then after you know the insight or what you can get, you can actually move to the other like doing ideations, like what can you provide the solution with that certain problem, and then you can come up with like wireframes on how you can, let's say, apa namanya, like make sure that there are no more property, right? So yeah, and then you can develop the wireframe and so on and so forth. So I would suggest to do that kind of practice.
Thank you for that. Yeah, time is running out. So I think we'll just switch to popular questions. We'll answer the top few popular questions, if that's okay. Yeah, so your LinkedIn screenshots show a lot of jobs from Spain. Is it easy to make it overseas in this career line? Is it valued higher overseas as compared to SEA? I think Chris mentioned something about that, right? Like it's valued differently in different countries. If anyone wants to talk about that.
Okay, so I think this question was kindly directed to me, because yeah, I used to live and also studied in Spain. So, and also I did some kind of experience like during my freelancing opportunities before. Is it easy to make it overseas in this career line? I would say yes, actually, because nowadays we already implement like the remote working, right? So if you want to try and also have a good portfolio, that actually can be considered from the companies itself. Is it valued higher overseas compared to ACA? I think it's actually the same value, but if we talk about the numbers of like the salary, of course it will be very different, right? But yeah, like for example in Europe there's actually a lot of startup like company, for example like Spotify, right? And also like Global, or what else, like Notions, like how do you call the, like some kind of a startup actually still going on in Europe. So I think if you would like to try the opportunities, I would suggest to do so. That's it for me.
Okay. Chris, do you have anything to add from this?
I don't think I have any for this one yet.
Yeah. Okay. Then Aiden is not here now, but we'll move on to the second question. If you are not from CS background but wanted to enter this field, which software role do you think is easier for us to self-learn and secure a job?
Oh, can I go first for this one? I would say don't search for the easiest path, but search things that you really want to do on this field actually. So whether it is hard or not, actually it will pay off at the end of the day, right? So do not focus on which one is easier, but focus on which one is lead your curiosity the most. Which one is like you feel like it's going to be more impactful if I learn from this, and which one is really, what is it? Yeah, like motivates you the most. And by having those things, even though you will hit like a hard rock of a learning curve, it will sustain your way to reach it actually, to reach the role that you need. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be, it's not going to be like squishy, soft journey. But I think at the end of the day, it's really paid off. That's from me actually. Maybe Nadia want to add some?
There is none for me actually. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, sorry for the I had to run out for a second, but thank you. Okay, question to Chris. Why Flutter and not React Native for Bukit Vista?
Yeah, this is actually to be honest, the Flutter decision is not mine, first of all, and it happens way before I entered Bukit Vista. So to be asked these questions, I don't really know exactly why, but from the experience writing Flutter, I think it's just more intuitive, and the community and also the growing popularity is, I think, much better and healthier than React Native for now. So in the long run, I think it will more sustainable to use Flutter instead of React Native. That's my point of view, basically, for this.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And for the last question, because we're really running out of time. Okay, I think we'll go with the latest question. For the internship, is there a hiring period or can we apply for it at any time?
Yeah, I can help to answer with that actually. For intern itself, we are open for hire for the whole year. But if as soon as you register, you can also start it as soon as possible as well. So I highly recommend you to register as soon as possible, especially because the role that I was mentioned before is also in demand in Bukit Vista right now. So we're going to hire the fastest one that apply, as well as the one that would actually apply immediately, maybe before maybe at the end of the month, and then so that the start of the month on February they can start doing the internship. So basically, yeah, but you can still try on another batch and still apply. So yeah, that's the time for the intern actually.
Okay. All right, good to know. Thank you guys so much. I know we still have quite a few questions here, but we need to move on. If you guys still want to ask the questions to Chris, Nadia, Biela, or anyone else, please stay for the huddle session, which will be after this. Yeah. So, so we've reached near the end of the talk. We're just going to do the quick lucky draw. We mentioned at the start we'll have 10 winners for people who came today. So I'm just going to spin the wheel. Can you guys see my screen? You can see, right? Okay. So Vanessa, you will note down the names, right, of the people who. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So the first winner is Jen Hong. Congrats, bro. Yay. Okay. I'll remove you. Vanessa noted earlier, right?
Yes. Hold on, let me check if Jennifer is here, because some of these names are from the participants list.
Oh.
Okay, he's not here. I think you have to remove his name and try again.
Oh, man. Okay. Too bad. That's why you should come for your talk if you register. Never mind. Siu Tong. Are they here today?
Yeah, she's here.
Oh, yay. Okay, congrats. You note down that I remove her?
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Arvin.
Arvin isn't here.
Ah, my God. Okay, never mind. Oh, man. Wei Chun.
Yeah, okay.
Wei Chun's here?
Yes.
Okay. So, 8 more, right? Oh, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Rizkia? Hanika?
He's here, right? Yeah, you're here. Yeah, I see his name in the participants list.
Okay, that's nice. Thank you.
Sorry if we butchered your name.
Yeah, my bad if I mispronounced your name. Monica.
Monica isn't here.
Then, okay. Oh, I should probably have removed that, but never mind. Junmin?
Yeah, just here.
Huh?
Yeah.
He's here or not here?
He's here.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay. Abdullah. Sharafuddin. Yeah? Okay. How many winners have we had? Like 5, right?
Five.
Okay. Edward.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Oh, Young Ho, is he here? Yeah, Young Ho. Nice. Yeah, let's go. All right. James. Is James here?
Yes, James.
Okay. How many more? Yeah.
Come on.
2 more. Oh, okay. Kelly? Is Kelly here?
Yes, Kelly.
Yay. All right. Last one.
Yes, I'm so lucky.
Yeah. Last one.
Last one. See who gets it.
Sarah? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, right?
Yeah, she's here.
Okay, cool. Congrats. So that's 10, right?
Yeah.
Congrats, guys. Thanks for coming. Okay. Yeah, lucky draw. The winners, if your name was called, you get a 10 ringgit GrabFood voucher. We'll be sending it to you soon. Do we need the email?
Yeah, we have their emails.
Oh, okay. Then we'll be contacting you about the voucher. Okay. So this is near the end of the event. Yeah, please fill up the feedback form if you guys can. Just let us know what you like, what you didn't like, so we can improve the events that we bring for you guys. The link is also in the chat, but you can also scan the QR code. Yeah, and thank you. So this is the official end of the talk. Thank you guys so much for coming. Our link tree is on the screen here. You can scan to find out what we're doing and follow us on Instagram. I think most of you found this talk from Instagram, but plugging it one more time, just in case. Yeah, thank you very much. So this is the end of the official talk. If you guys need to head off first, you can. Sorry. Oh, you're right. Photo, right. Photo. Please don't leave yet. My apology. Yeah. If you guys could turn on your camera so we can take a picture, and then yeah, turn on, and then Vanessa, you can count down whenever because you take the picture, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. Let's get everyone to open up their screens first. Yeah, open up your cam. Guys, don't be shy. Yeah, I'll just wait for a countdown to 10 seconds, then I'll start taking the photo. So if you guys want to open up your cam, please do. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Come on, open your cam. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Let's do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay, hold on. I need to go to the next page. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile. Nice. Very nice to see y'all's beautiful faces.
Thank you. All right. Yeah. So, yeah. Now is the Biela. I'll hand it back to you for the huddle session. If you want to just talk about that, yeah, I'll stop sharing my screen again.
Yeah, thank you so much for the time, and thank you so much everyone for coming to this webinar. Yeah. So it's a huddle session. Basically, if you want to stay and then ask some more questions to our speakers and ask basically to the Bukit Vista team, you can stay here and ask us directly and have a conversation basically with us. So feel free to open your camera and open your microphone if you want to ask. So yeah, maybe is there anyone who wants to ask anything? You can directly open your microphone. If not, we can also try to answer the question that we haven't answered on the Slido before, yeah, because there are some other questions that hasn't been answered basically. So while waiting for the others for asking questions, for opening their microphone, maybe we can continue answering the questions that was given before. Wait, I'm going to show my screen for this Slido before. Okay. Wait, can you see my screen? Yeah, okay, nice. So, which one that has been answered? Yeah.
Maybe could you like zoom in a little bit so that we can see?
I'm sorry, gimana? How?
Maybe you could zoom in a little bit because the font, yeah, it's kind of.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hey, okay then. Okay, so can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we haven't answered this question. Yeah, question for Chris and Nadia. What is the hardest project that you have ever made in Bukit Vista? Maybe to Kak Nadia first. What was your hardest project, Kak? Can you tell us the story?
Okay, hardest project in Bukit Vista. Right. I would say actually our BVGO project, because the BVGO project started when I just entered as an intern in Bukit Vista, right? And it was like my my first project that I took when I was interning in Bukit Vista. And yeah, how would I say? Like there was no like guideline in the very beginning, and everything started from scratch basically. So I started with the very like discovery, research and testing and so on and so forth until I reached to the stage of like prototyping and wireframing, and also collaborating as well with the mobile app developer, right? And also, but it doesn't stop there actually, because we keep on the iterating, we keep on improving from the first prototype to like the more improvement on the product itself. So yeah, for me, it's the BBCO project.
Yeah, so you were already working on it since when you were an intern, or oh yeah, so how much time did you spend on like improving and developing this DV code?
Oh, okay. It's because it's like an iterative process, right? So we don't want to develop like, okay, so this basically goes to the concept of MVP, the minimum viable product, right? We don't want to create, how is it? We don't want to make a wedding cake in the very beginning. We want to make a cupcake. Why? Basically, they have the same base, they have the same icing colors, they have the same taste, but they're just a smaller feature. So that's how we do with the BBCO. We don't want to make like everything perfect in the very beginning, or like we don't want to make like another version of Airbnb basically, right? So we start with the very small thing, like for example, how the users can see their property performance, how they can see the list of bookings, what can they do with that, how can they see their guests and something like that. So we want to make like smaller milestone, but achievable and also faster in delivery. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's a very great story from you, because if you can see right now, just how you and Kak Chris explained, BVGO has developed very well and we have come very far from the very beginning. So how about Kak Chris? What about you? What is your the hardest project that you have ever made in Bukit Vista?
Okay, so probably yeah, as the backend specific one, I don't think that's many, but the one project that gives me a lot of flashback is actually a property onboarding journey. So in Bigger website, Bigger is our property management software. There's a feature when we need to provide properties data that just onboarded as our partner to our system. So for example, if someone of you have a property and you want Bukit Vista to manage it, then you need to we need to register your property and its details into our system basically. And along the way, the most toughest part is actually to get out from my comfort zone and try to develop the front end actually. So the backend side is also a bit complicated because there are lots of relational database that we made, but the fact that I also need to do the front end part is actually pretty challenging. At the end of the day, to overcome that is actually for collaborations. And uh, probably that's it for me actually. As for the backend specific, is until today is still okay, but yeah.
Okay, then is it either it's hard, everything hardly difficult for you, maybe Kak? Maybe that's why it's hard for you to find the hardest project for you. But it's very interesting for me to hear that you've also tried for front end, yeah. So that you don't only work on back end, but you also tried on front end. Like, can you tell more about that? Like, why did you decide to try on front end as well?
Actually, I actually have probably interest. At the first time I learned programming, I actually a bit greedy. That's why I try to learn everything by my own, front end, back end, and so on and so forth. Yes, and also mobile application as well. So at that time, I tried to go out from the comfort zone and try to front end development. Um, but the path is wrong. Why? Because I I have basic on other frameworks on front end, which is in this context Vue, but I don't have much context on React and Redux for the state management. So when I developing this feature specifically for Bukit Vista, I get a lot of I waste a lot of time trying to learn things from the big things, which is the application itself, instead of doing the small things by developing my learning skill first. That's actually the big takeaways that I have. But the decision that I made at that time for the front end is just the curiosity that I want to feel about how to basically develop the front end in BV, especially on React, because React is actually tech stack that I really want to learn a long time ago. But at the end of the day, we have to make ourselves not to be too selfish to do that, actually.
Okay, that is a very interesting journey that you told, Kak Chris. Thank you so much. Okay, so the next question, there's about the internship one. So for the internship, may we opt for a part-time? Okay, so currently in Bukit Vista, we have no option for part-time internship. So yeah, you can only have a full-time internship. However, in Bukit Vista, we also have a very flexible working time. So even if you are doing this internship while you are still in school, it will still also be okay, because a lot of our intern right now, even the employee right now, are still in school as well. I also still in school while working in Bukit Vista. So basically, you can just adjust your time accordingly, and you can still work as an internship, a full-time internship here at Bukit Vista. Okay, so yeah, hopefully that answer your question. The next question, do you suggest fresh graduate to pursue front end or back end roles? Maybe to Kak Chris? Oh, Kak Chris is not here, yeah, okay.
Yes, what is it?
Oh, you're here, okay.
What's the question again? Sorry.
Okay. Do you suggest fresh graduate to pursue front end or back end role, ya?
Oh, back again. What's interests you the most? And not only fresh graduates, before you graduate, try to search for the roles as well, because it's from I actually start my career as well at my fourth semester, like working full time, because at my university I actually attend the night class. So at the day I actually pretty free. So if you happen to be able to have that kind of privilege as well, hone your skills and search the real case or work as fast as you can, because it's going to help you to shape your understanding about how real problems are going to be solved in development or software perspective, basically. So once again, focus on what interests you the most and what sparks your curiosity. Don't just which one is better or which one is it. But at the end of the day, follow your heart lah, istilahnya. Lol.
Okay, then thank you, Kak Chris. So basically, try to find your interests, your passions, and work hard on that. Yeah. Okay, maybe we can have one more question, and then we can end the huddle session, since I think everyone was a bit tired already for this almost 2 hours conversation that we have today. Which one should we pick here? Oh, maybe here. How do you actually improve designing skills? Maybe to Kak Nadia, can you help and answer this?
Okay, how to improve designing skills? Yeah, practice. Okay, and also one of the core values in Bukit Vista is actually fail fast, right? And never settle. So basically, try, and don't forget to get like the recent design trends, and try practicing either using Figma, or if you're interested in doing Photoshop, Illustrator. Try and practice, and then show it to your friends, and do some research or testing. But how do we think about that? And you can improve from that actually. So yeah, back again, it's about practice.
Okay, take a lot of practice, do some research, and yeah, work and practice on that. So basically, that was the answer, and that also closed the whole huddle session today. So thank you everyone who's still staying here in the room, since it's already over the time actually, but still want to hear some from our speaker. So that's very great. And yeah, thank you so much. And hopefully we can meet you in other environment, maybe in Bukit Vista as one of our intern as well. So yeah, maybe back to Aiden, if you want to close this session.
Yeah, sure. Thank you guys so much again for coming. Thank you guys for staying over time. Yeah, it went on for a bit longer than expected. That's okay. Yeah, I don't have any other slides to show or anything. Just want to say thank you from GDSC. Thank you, Bukit Vista, as well, for giving such an informative talk. Thank you guys. Okay. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone. Bye bye.